Hello, welcome to the November Community Hangout session. It's great to be back. Sorry, this is a little bit late this month, a few days late. We're now in a national lockdown here in the UK again, which is a shame. And I was just taking the time to see my family. So like yesterday, for instance, I drove up to Cambridge, which is where I grew up in England, and just went for a bit of a walk with my parents and a bit of countryside, bit of sunshine, and just to see them, which was really nice. But yeah, now locked down for a minimum of a month now. So it's just me, my girlfriend, and our cat in the flat. So cat's in the hallway at the moment, so he won't be getting involved today. But yeah, hope you're all well and staying safe, staying healthy at this time. Crazy week this week, lots of news, lots of things going on. So I hope wherever you are, you're okay. As always, I'll just go through some updates and just go through kind of what I've been working on this past month with Frontend Mentor, and then also what we've got planned for this coming month. And then also, as always, we'll do an AMA session at the end. So please, if you've got any questions that you'd like to ask me, anything about Frontend Mentor, about your own web development journey, anything like that, please feel free to just start asking them in the chat already while I'm talking, and I'll just get to them at the end and go through them. Hey, Alex and Yazwan, great to see you both here already. Absolutely brilliant to be doing this again. I always love these YouTube live sessions. It's always a great opportunity just to chat with you all, answer your questions, give you some insights, give you some updates about what I've been doing, what we've been doing this past month. So yeah, I'll dive into it. So first of all, this past month, so October just gone, I was teaching. So for those of you that don't know, I don't work full-time on Frontend Mentor yet. Hopefully, fingers crossed that it's not too far away from being able to do that. But I also teach with General Assembly here in London, which is a coding school in London. And so I was teaching a week, and I was essentially helping out on a corporate training week with H&M, the company, where kind of helping them, they're transitioning some people into product design roles. And so there's a week of teaching them how to kind of communicate with developers, how to work with developers, but then also teaching them the basics of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, so they have more of an understanding as to kind of what we do as developers when we actually take their designs and then implement them in code. So that was really good fun. Whenever I do them, it's like, I love teaching. I absolutely love it. It always takes a week away from Frontend Mentor. So yeah, I always get kind of itchy to come back and work on Frontend Mentor because there's so much to do and so much that I want to kind of build with Frontend Mentor. So it's good to be back. I will be doing another teaching week in a couple more weeks, but I'll be kind of cracking on with Frontend Mentor as much as possible. So first of all, in October, one of the biggest things was actually, it wasn't an addition to the platform like on the coding side for us. It was just the fact that PayPal, so PayPal accepted us as a merchant on their platform, which essentially means, so we use Chargebee for our subscription management, and they're absolutely incredible subscription management service. And you can configure different payment gateways for the payments, for credit card payments and debit card payments. We use Stripe as our payment gateway at the moment. And we wanted to also, for launch, we were hoping to have PayPal ready for launch. And we thought it was literally just going to be a simple thing where, because they had already given us a test account, and we thought that like a couple of days before, we could just say, okay, we're ready to go live now, flip it over to a live account as opposed to being a test account. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. It took us over 2 months of kind of badgering them and like writing emails, being on the phone, being passed around from customer service rep to customer service rep. Not the best experience. but thankfully they have finally accepted us as a merchant. So when you pay, basically, you can obviously just request a payment with PayPal or give your email address. But what you can't do unless you're a kind of verified merchant is charge monthly, like so recurring billing. And obviously on a subscription, it makes it much easier. So what we do is 3 days before your subscription renews, if you're a pro member, we send you an email just as a reminder, just to say kind of, hey, your pro subscription is about to renew. If you do want to cancel it, like, here's how you can cancel it. But obviously we hope that you don't, and here's the latest challenges. So we give a notification, but then also if no one does cancel for the end of the month, then we do just charge them, which is a standard thing to do for a subscription. And with PayPal, you just can't do that unless you have this thing called a reference transaction enabled. And so to do that, they have to accept you. They have to kind of go through this process. And so we naively thought that we'd just be able to say, oh, cool, we're ready to do this now. Alas, that wasn't the case. And PayPal, they kind of dragged their feet a little bit with it. But it's amazing to say that we now have PayPal payments enabled, which is great. So anyone who doesn't have a credit card or for whatever reason doesn't want to use it in order to pay, they can now use PayPal. So that was a big one. And I was actually getting a little bit worried about that because PayPal is such a big thing and quite a few people do want to use it. Since putting it live, we've had quite a few people using it as the payment method. And PayPal customer service, like, I'm not going to lie, they're not the best. So we were getting passed around from person to person. They were asking us the same questions over and over again. So it was getting very frustrating, and I was getting worried that it was actually never going to happen. So I'm very, very happy that it has finally happened. Next up, so one of the other things for last month, so this is just a UX, like user experience improvement, which was essentially the filtering and the searching for the challenges was not the way that we would want it to be, or that I would want it to be. Like, one of the obvious things when you're trying to find a challenge, especially if you don't know any JavaScript yet, you want to find just HTML and CSS only challenges. You don't want any of the API challenges or JavaScript challenges included. And with this, so I wanted to rework the filtering, because at that time, if you selected HTML and you selected CSS, what it would do is it would just keep all of the challenges in the results, because all of the challenges include HTML and CSS. Whereas that's not the point of that filter. What we wanted it to do was to say, okay, I want to only search for HTML and CSS challenges. And so we reworked it, changed the options, so it's kind of HTML and CSS only, then JavaScript, and then the API one. So if you select the JavaScript one, it will select the challenges that include JavaScript but don't include APIs. If you do the API one, it will include all of the ones that have APIs but not the JavaScript challenges that don't have the APIs. And also, so, oh yeah, Niall, thank you. Yeah, I did have a new haircut. As soon as they announced the lockdown, I realized that my hair was growing a bit out of control. So another 4 weeks minimum of that, I would have been looking, yeah, like a bit of a caveman by the end of it. So yeah, I thought I'd pop out and go to the barbers quickly on Monday. So yeah. We also, there was another big one, was people wanted to say that, like, if they have completed a challenge, they probably don't want it to show up in the results, or they want a quick and easy way to hide the challenges that they've already completed. And this is a really normal thing, and it was something that we didn't have available. So now we've just got a little checkbox that is an extra option that just says, like, hide completed challenges. And you can just check it, and then it will remove all of the challenges that you've already completed from the results, so that you can more easily find a new challenge to get started with. Oh, Niall, you're in week 2 of 6. I didn't actually realize you were already in a lockdown. That's bad of me for not knowing that on the news. I hope it's going okay, and you're not pulling your hair out too much yet. So yeah, filtering options were a big one. At some point in the future, we'll also just have a general site search where you can search for challenges and all of this kind of stuff. But at the same time, like for that, that's quite a lot of work to implement that, and there's higher priority stuff that we're going to be doing before that. So kind of just general site search, so you can search for users, search for challenges, solutions, this kind of stuff. It will come definitely at some point, but at the moment there's no search. You're just kind of have to find the challenges on the challenges page. Ellie is saying about the filtering, would be good to have the filters update the URL so it can be bookmarked or shared. This is a really good point, Ellie, and this is something that I'm going to be working on as well. So yeah, having like little query parameters, so it could update hide completed, hidden, true, or something like this. And then, like you say, Ellie, you can bookmark it. And also, it means that it will be there in the browser history as well. So as the URL is updated, you can, if you click back, it will then just move to the latest state. And I'll be doing this across the board because on Frontend Mentor, there are quite a lot of tabbed UI. And the user experience of it is not great. So like, for instance, if you're on the dashboard at the moment and you go to the Wall of Fame and then you want to check who's on the leaderboard, like the Wall of Fame for this month, for instance, if you did that and then hit refresh, you would just go back to the regular like timeline of solutions and the questions. Whereas actually what you would want to do is say, okay, I was on the Wall of Fame tab, and I was looking at the monthly time frame, for instance. So yeah, like adding those query params is definitely something that I'll be doing on the filtering. It will also be done on the just regular dashboard and on profile, and essentially just anywhere where there's a tabbed UI, and like you're moving around by clicking on the different tabs. I'll be adding those query parameters. So that will definitely be coming, Ellie. Also, for anyone who is here at the moment, we've not got any kind of just general like questions in the chat for the AMA. So please do feel free, just start firing off some questions and I will get to them when I've given you some updates on the platform. I'm looking forward to seeing what you're going to be asking and what I can help you with. So yeah, Ellie, yeah, I'm well aware that it definitely needs improving. So yeah, it will be really good when that improves. So yeah, nice to hear that you're looking forward to it. That's cool. So filtering challenges, that was a big one. And I mean, there's quite a lot of work. It feels like quite a small feature, but there's actually quite a lot of logic and all of this kind of stuff to go into it. So it took a little while, but it was really, really good to get that done. And now the filtering feels right. If you don't think it feels right, do let me know. If you know of any other changes, like Ellie was saying about the kind of query params and stuff like that, do let me know if you've got any suggestions as well. Next one. So this one was a really small one. There was actually no coding. Actually, there was a tiny little bit of coding kind of needed for this, which is weekly shout outs for the mentors of the week. So that so we go from Sunday all the way through to Saturday, kind of the next week, when we update the Wall of Fame. And like one thing that I really want to do within the community, and this is broader than just Twitter shout outs, I really want to highlight stories and highlight people in the community that are kind of more of the mentors in the community, people that are like have some insights to give and they're helping people out and all of this kind of stuff. I really want to highlight those people as much as possible, because they're giving their time, they're giving feedback to other people, and it's just amazing to have to see people giving feedback to each other is just incredible. But then also not just with that, I also want to start like highlighting members of the community so that we can get to know each other's stories. So get to know how people got into coding. Like for instance, for those of you that don't know, like I used to be a sports scientist, or I did sports science at uni, and then I was a personal trainer, and I didn't actually start writing code until I was nearly 29. And so that was 6 years ago now. So I did a complete career change at 29 years old to become a web developer. And so it's just really interesting always hearing different people's stories, hearing different people's backgrounds, hearing how people are using the Frontend Mentor challenges. I know that there's a few people in the community, like Magda Kokot, who have literally got interviews based on the strength of their portfolio, which were entirely made up of Frontend Mentor challenges. And then Magda, by the sounds of it, she did really, really well in the interview as well, and then managed to get a job off the back of it. So people that are using the challenges and getting jobs, like helping them getting a foot in the door, this kind of stuff, and just like highlighting people's stories, because there's so many people in the community now. That would be great to get to know each other a bit more and give each other a platform, give everyone a platform to talk a bit more about their process, a bit more about their background, how they got into coding, what their plans are for the future, and all of this kind of stuff. So this is just a first tiny little move. This weekly Twitter shoutouts for the mentors of the week. It's just a little tiny move in that direction to start kind of highlighting and celebrating the mentors on the platform. And anyone can become a mentor. Like all you have to do is just start jumping in and giving people feedback on their code. It helps you learn as well. Like it's a great way to help other people out, but you deepen your own coding knowledge by actually diving in and giving feedback to other people. So it's just a great learning mechanism for yourself as well. And so yeah, every Monday morning now, like the coding part that was needed for this, so just sending me an email, like every Sunday morning now I get an email just saying like, these were the top 3 mentors for last week, here were their points totals and this kind of stuff. And then on Monday morning, I will, every single week now, just create a little tweet and just give them all a shout out, because everyone giving feedback to other people. I mean, everyone in the community deserves a massive shout out, but it's also like, it's at the moment, a small subset. Hopefully that will grow and grow as time goes on, but it's a small subset of people giving feedback in the community. And definitely I want to celebrate those people as much as possible, because it's amazing to see people kind of giving back to the community in that way is absolutely brilliant. So weekly Twitter shoutouts, and like I said, that's just a first step towards more community-related stuff. And like I want to get people in, like these monthly chats, for instance. It would be awesome to have other people involved. So it's me and someone else, and we can help answer your questions and do like AMAs, but they could be on a specific topic. So we could do kind of help you out with like CVs, or we could help you out with like advice for freelancing and all of this kind of stuff, or getting a job, getting hired, all of this kind of thing. So I really want to start building that stuff out more. And when I say building, there's no actual building, it's more just strategizing and thinking through how it will work, and then just doing it essentially. So that's all stuff that you can expect in the future as well. So another thing that we did was improving the consistency of the solution screenshots. One thing that I want to do, so first of all, they weren't very consistent before. Things like the VH units would throw it all out. So 100 VH on a gigantic solution, like on a long solution, would actually take a screenshot of the entire like size of the screen. And so they just weren't working well, they weren't rendering well. So we wanted to have a little look at different solutions, and looked around at lots of different possibilities, APIs even. I was happy to pay for an API that produced a consistent screenshot. But instead, we stumbled across, we knew about Playwright, which is essentially Microsoft's answer to Puppeteer. And we started experimenting with that and running some screenshot tests with that. And the different types of browsers, they got like Chrome, Firefox, WebKit kind of browsers as well. So you can run the screenshots in those different types of browser too. And we found that actually they were coming out much more consistent with these different, like, supposedly tricky values, like the VH unit, for instance. And so we reworked it, or Mike. So Mike is my friend who kind of works on it with me as well. Like the two of us work. He works full time at FutureLearn at the moment, but fingers crossed he'll be able to come in on the project full time at some point as well. So Mike, like he's a back-end developer. He was diving in on the API side, kind of working out the screenshots, all of this kind of thing. And we found that it was just working so much more consistently using Playwright. And then we had a couple of little tweaks to do with the configuration, but then we pushed it live, and now we're using Playwright under the hood of Frontend Mentor for the screenshots. And there's a couple of reasons why screenshots are so important. Like, so first of all, you want to be showing off your solution in the best light possible. You want it to be an accurate representation of what you've built. But then also, I'm going to be changing the UI, and I'll be talking about this in a little bit more detail soon, of the dashboard, which will include the screenshots. And so the dashboard will soon start to look a bit more like Pinterest in a way, where you've got different heights of images, different screenshots. You can see different people's solutions. You'll be able to easily kind of click through and see what they've built and what they've done. And to do that, it needed to be a higher consistency of screenshots so it will look okay. Secondly, we're going to be changing it soon so that when you share your solution, so a common thing to do is complete your solution and then share it with your network on, like, Twitter, for instance, so that other people can see what you've built and then also comment on it as well. And at the moment, like, it's just an image of the challenge. It's like the preview image of the challenge. But what I would love is for it to be your actual solution screenshot, your information. So it'll be like solution by, and then kind of Matt Studdert with my avatar in there and this kind of thing. And it will be an actual kind of dynamic screenshot based on the challenge, like the solution that you've created and your information on Frontend Mentor. So when you share it on Twitter or share it on Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever, that preview image will be completely dynamic based on you and your solution. And of course, I couldn't do that if there was just these really horribly rendered screenshots. So we're one step closer to being able to do that now, which will be absolutely brilliant. So that was another thing. It's not a big kind of feature launch, but it's just improving the consistency, improving the quality of the platform, which is just really, really crucial. And another thing, so last month in the blog post, like my monthly review blog post, I set out a few goals for the month. Like, I always do that and set out goals for this coming month. I realized in hindsight that I was way too optimistic as to kind of what I was going to achieve or what we were going to be able to achieve. And there were a number of other things that popped up that took time away from the kind of core focuses for the month. So one of these things is I'm going to be changing the user interface, like how the dashboard looks. And one of the reasons behind this is at the moment the dashboard is quite unintuitive. It's also quite it's not very inspiring. You see people's questions that people are asking, but you don't see the solution that they've created. You don't know what challenge they've created that solution for, but unless you actually click through into it. So this was what I was saying about changing the UI. It will become a bit more Pinterest-like, where you'll see the screenshot and it will be like the full height of the screenshot, depending on the challenge. And then it will also be, we won't have the sidebar kind of on the side, so everything's like slightly off center. What I'm going to be doing is kind of moving that up to the top. And then it's just going to be full, like a feed, almost like a timeline of solutions. And then you'll also be able to filter them by just all solutions, like all of the latest solutions, or you could filter out the ones so that they show only the ones that are requesting feedback. So only the people that are asking questions when they've submitted their solution, so that if you want to see what questions the people are asking, dive in, give them feedback, give them help, you'll be able to do that in a really, really easy way. So that's an upcoming change and something that I had planned last month, but I was only able to start the wireframing. I wasn't able to complete it. I'm still kind of doing the wireframing at the moment for that. I kind of went down one route with it, and then I spoke to a couple of people. So Niall, who's here in the chat as well. Thank you, Niall, for your sort of advice and your feedback on kind of what I'd built. And also Em, who's in the community. She helps out with the design, or not the design, but the challenge creation, like the exporting of the challenges and stuff, which is amazing. So I was chatting to both of them and getting their feedback, and like essentially, especially Niall was saying, there's more down the lines of like, let you go into this a little bit more, like research it a little bit more. And I kind of knew this. I wasn't entirely comfortable with it, which is why I was, and the current idea of it, which is why I was kind of getting the feedback. But yeah, so I kind of stepped back, went back to square one almost with it, just started researching as many different sites as possible, things like Pinterest, and then came up with some much better ideas. So at the moment, I'm in the wireframing process. I've already started that last month. I'm continuing it. I'll be doing more tomorrow and at the weekend, and into next week. And then next week, I'll be starting to do some usability testing on those wireframes with volunteers in the community. So there's already been a number of people who have volunteered, which is amazing. If you want to volunteer, if you want to chat with me, it would just be a video call like this with me, and we would just go through it. You would go through the wireframes and kind of click around, and then I'll be getting feedback and all this kind of stuff. So if you want to volunteer for that, please do feel free to just message me, like DM me in the Slack community. I'll add you to the list, and then I'll get in touch when I'm ready with the wireframes. So starting the wireframes for the new dashboard UI was another thing that I did, but then, like I said, I realized I was charging forward a bit too much with one vision, like one view, without really just taking a step back, doing much more detailed research on it, and coming up with the best solution possible. So that's what I did. Took that step back, redid it, working through the wireframes, and I'll finish them up soon in the coming days, and then dive into testing, which I'm really excited about. And I'm excited to start actually building the feature and get it live, because it will make the dashboard and everything around it kind of much more engaging and much more easy to use, and see what other people are building, interact with each other, chat with each other. The more you can talk about code with other people, like the better developer you're going to be, and you'll make friends. I'll be adding, like later down the line, or not too much later, hopefully, kind of the ability to follow each other. So it'll be a bit more of a community where you can actually follow each other and sort of see when other people are posting and giving feedback to other people and all this kind of stuff. So really excited to update the UI. So that was the stuff that we did in October. And so what's going to happen this November? So I'll talk about that in a second. First of all, So yeah, Ellie's asked a question about the tech behind Frontend Mentor. So yeah, I'll get to that after this for sure. If you have any other questions, so that's only one question at the moment in the chat. If you have any other questions whatsoever, getting a nice notification there. Should have shut down Google Calendar. If you've got any questions at all about your own development journey, about Frontend Mentor, anything like this, please do feel free to just ask in the chat. I'll be more than happy to answer them at the end. So do fire away and just start asking questions in the chat, and then I'll get to them in a minute. So this coming month, there's one to do that's been like, I keep on pushing it back and pushing it back. This month I will get it done. It's a fairly simple one, which is just to build out a new page on the website, and it's going to be a tour page. So this is a page that's going to be there to show, like in a nice sort of detailed way, all of the things that you can do on the platform. So it would be great for people that are just visiting the site, or people that have just signed up to the site, and it will be a page where they can go and they can really figure out exactly what the platform offers. And because obviously you can post solutions, and that's like the main thing. But then a lot of people, they just post the solutions. They don't even realize, like, oh, maybe I could comment on other people's solutions, and maybe that's another great way to learn as well. And then there's things like the Wall of Fame. There's going to be more in the future, like with bounties on questions and all of this kind of stuff, which will be really fun when that starts up. But there's so much more to the platform than just posting solutions. A great way to learn and build your own knowledge is to critique other people's code and to talk about code with other people. And so all of this extra stuff, like giving feedback to others, talking about code with others, all of this kind of thing is stuff that I'll be adding on the tour page to give people much more well-rounded view of exactly what can be done on the platform, and to explain more about kind of the Wall of Fame and the badges and all of this kind of stuff. So building the tour page, I've literally had it on my to-do list for like 2 months now, and there's always been sort of higher priority things that have just snuck in and just kept on nudging it down. I will build it this month, so that's a big one. And then also with the dashboard UI, I want to get nearly to the completed state with the dashboard UI. I've got the wireframes. Like I said, I'm also teaching again this month, which will take a week out of the month for me, which is a shame. But I will try as much as I can to get this new dashboard UI kind of finished, like wireframe tested, get the designs, and then actually build it. And I'm aiming for the end of the month. If I don't make it for the end of the month, it will be very early in December. So this will be the main focus. So building the tour page, updating the dashboard UI. These are my two focuses. And I'm trying to not make the same mistake that I did last month, where I just have these really big sort of audacious goals. Like last month, I was saying the dashboard UI, the bounty points, the challenge hubs, and this kind of stuff, like that would all be done, or at least starting work on. But unfortunately, like I wasn't able to do it. So this month, I'm kind of just being a bit more focused with it, get those done, and then next month be able to move on to like the challenge hubs, which will be the next thing. So as part of the dashboard UI wireframes, like I'm needing to think ahead with the challenge hubs and the bounty points and all this kind of stuff. So once these wireframes are done initially, like in the next coming days, the actual wireframes for the hubs and the bounty points will already be there or be nearly there. So they should come together pretty quickly when I get to that. So yeah, scaling down my kind of to-dos this month so I can really focus and make sure that we get kind of one big change out this month, which will be the dashboard UI. So yeah, this is what we got coming this month, which I'm really, really excited about. And yeah, there's still so many more things I want to do with the platform, but it's like just focus on kind of one big thing at least for the month, and then maybe a couple of smaller things, and then just make sure we're sort of making that gradual gradual progress and just continually improving the platform and making it an enjoyable place to post your solutions, give feedback, receive feedback, chat about code, meet other front-end devs, and all this kind of stuff. Hopefully, all building up to help you get a job, get a promotion, build an incredible portfolio of projects, all of this kind of stuff. There's also actually one thing that I've forgotten to mention that has actually kind of snuck in this week since I wrote the blog post of the monthly review, which is, and this is another thing that I'm kind of really excited about, and it actually involves no coding whatsoever, which is always nice when you can improve the platform without actually writing any code. It's always a nice win. So essentially, in the community, I think it was at the weekend, Grace in the Slack community, she asked a question when I posted about the Office Lite challenge that I launched last week. She was saying, do you have any plans to launch any Figma versions for the designs? And at the time I was like, and this is a question that I've had sort of quite a few times in the community, and it's something that I've kept on asking myself as well, like, should we do this? Should we do this? And it made me think again about potentially having Figma designs as well. And I always thought there would be quite a big resource, like changing it all, doing all of this kind of stuff. But then I thought, actually, well, you can import Sketch to Figma. You then change a few little bits and pieces, like make sure that the designs are consistent and they match up. And then you're kind of good to go, really. And so I spoke to our designer about it, and he said, like, yep, it actually wouldn't be too much extra work to be able to do this. And like, I also knew that I could kind of dive in and make some little tweaks as well. I'm not a designer myself, but I could do that as well. And so actually, that's one of the main things I've been working on this week already, which is not on the list for the monthly review. So I've already gone off on a slight tangent, but don't worry, it's not a big one. But essentially, we are now reworking all of the designs so that all of the downloads, the design downloads, will come with both Sketch versions and Figma versions of the design. And this is something that I'm really, really excited about, because Figma is cross-platform. You can have it on Windows, on Mac. It also has a really generous free tier, which means that you can just use Figma and not pay a monthly subscription, which is great. And it's a tool that more and more and more development teams and product teams are using. We always use Sketch because Sketch has been around, it stood the test of time, but then also Sketch files are very compatible to import them into XD and import them into Figma. But we were realizing that there was quite often some rendering issues. So some files might not import perfectly. So if someone's using the Figma import from Sketch, they might actually be working to a design that's slightly incorrect. Like the spacing might be off, the boldness of the text and all of this kind of stuff might be slightly off. So we are now reworking everything on the design side. Hopefully, kind of fingers crossed, by the end of next week, all of the challenges on the site will have both Sketch and Figma versions, which I'm really, really excited about. And like, I've already done a number of these changes. So I think about 30 of the challenges already have Figma versions in the download. So some of the challenges already have that Figma version in the download. Not all of them though, and I'm waiting to announce it. But like when all of them have the Figma version, then I'll fully announce it to the Slack community and on Twitter and all this kind of stuff. But it's great. And also tomorrow's new premium challenge launch, which is a clock application. It's a really fun project. That will also be the first new challenge launch that will come out with Sketch and Figma versions. So really excited about that. I think it will open it up a lot more. People may not be, like, people that are using the pro subscription or wanting to use a pro subscription might be put off by the fact that it's just a Sketch file that's given. So being able to provide the Figma and Sketch file, I feel a lot better about it. It's like, I think it will be a really positive thing, which is good. So that is, everything I'll be working on this month. I hope you're excited about those things. If you've got any feedback, any questions about that, please do put it in the chat. And I'd love to hear your feedback. So let's dive into the questions now. So we've got a few questions. If you've got any more questions whatsoever, please do ask them in the chat, and I will get to them as I work through each question. So Ellie is asking, can you talk about the tech behind Frontend Mentor? Also, I'm curious if you did the design and front end and back end yourself or work with other people. Okay, cool. So first of all, the tech behind Frontend Mentor, we use, so let's start right at the base, right at the bottom, we've got MongoDB as our database of choice, and then we're using Node.js with Express as the framework on the back end for that. So we've got a Node backend, MongoDB database, and for sort of asset management and things, we use for the images Cloudinary. We use for that. It's absolutely incredible service to work with images and host your media files essentially. With our code bases, they're run on DigitalOcean as the service, so both front end and back end are run on DigitalOcean. The front end though, on the front end we use Next.js, which is server-side rendering framework for React, and absolutely incredible. I love working with Next, but we're running it on a DigitalOcean droplet, which seems a bit silly to me because Next was created by Vercel. We love Vercel. I love Vercel. They used to be a sponsor, and hopefully they will be a sponsor again in the future. It's an amazing service, amazing company, and they are the creators of Next. But they also have their hosting side to their business as well. So it seems a bit silly that Frontend Mentor front end that is run using Next.js is not actually hosted sort of using Vercel. So that's one thing that will be changing soon, is moving over to Vercel for the hosting of the front end. With the Next.js 10 update that they've just announced last week, there's a whole bunch of extra things that they're adding, like say performance optimizations, but then analytics as well. And it just really makes sense to move the front end over to Vercel. So with that front end code base, like I said, we're using Next.js as the framework for that, which is a server-side framework for React. We then use styled components for the styling, and that's our major stack, the major parts of our stack. We also now use Playwright as well for the solution screenshots. So it's MongoDB. We use Mongo Atlas for that, which is a hosted version of Mongo. We then have a Node backend, which is an Express, I'm running an Express framework for that. That's all hosted on DigitalOcean. We use Cloudinary for the images, profile pictures, solution screenshots, all of that kind of stuff. To take the solution screenshots, we use Playwright. And then on the front end, we've got Next.js, which is server-side rendering framework for React, and then styled components, and then accessible HTML, good old HTML5, and make the site as sort of accessible as possible. And that's the major stack behind it. As far as if we did the design front end and back end myself, so initially so when I first had the idea for Frontend Mentor back in kind of summer of 2018, I did sort of everything together, but it was the very first version of Frontend Mentor was a static site. Luckily, one of my friends, Bav, who is a great designer, he did the initial brand identity, which is what you see for Frontend Mentor now. He did the first like initial page designs for me, which was absolutely amazing, just as a favor. So I still owe him for that. So I'm ready for him to kind of call in that favor at some point in the future. And then, like, when we realized that it was actually going to be a good idea to kind of just keep developing the platform, like I put it out initially for my students at General Assembly to give them projects to work to, but then realized that it was really going to have this wider appeal. So very quickly kind of started building out more and more for to build a platform, like a full-on platform where people could log in and submit solutions and all this kind of thing. And when I was started to build that, so I'm mostly a kind of front-end developer. I can pull together a Node API, like a basic Node API, and I was starting to do that for the platform. But then one of my friends, Mike, who was also at the time an instructor at General Assembly, he knew about the project because I'd been talking about it with him. He just asked if I needed any help with it, and I did. So I was very, very happy. He's a back-end developer as well, so I was very happy when he asked. And so he came in and started helping me out with it as well. And he still works on it, which is amazing. And he works full-time at a company called FutureLearn. But then every now and then, like evenings, weekends, or anything like that, he'll just dive in and help out wherever he can. At some point in the future, like it would be great for, first of all, for me to be able to go full-time on it so I can like really focus and really build it into kind of the idea of the platform that I've got. But then also, ideally, down the line, Mike would be able to come in on it as well, and we can just work and just kind of build it out as much as possible. So with the design work for the challenges, there's I work with a designer in Jakarta who kind of does the design work over there. Is actually run through a company called Many Pixels, who's sort of a design as a service. But I have been working with them for a long time now, and I work exclusively with this single designer, Kevin, now, which is amazing. So we built up a really good relationship. He's now just working on the challenges, any updates to the UI, like the dashboard, for instance, he'll be doing the design work for that. So got this kind of very small, very lean team. I've also got M in the community. M does an amazing job helping me with the challenge launches. So when Kevin does the designs, I'll then send it over to M, and she'll cut up the assets and do all of the challenge creation and all this kind of stuff. Send me everything kind of with all of the assets and all this kind of stuff, and then I will launch it on Friday morning. So yeah, nice little sort of team around me. So it's definitely not just me at the moment. Kind of really nice to be working with people, kind of helping improve the workflow really, and kind of build everything faster, which is amazing. So next up, so Niall is saying, asking, is there a changelog to show when things have updated and what's new? Is there a public roadmap, or is it up too much in the air at the moment? So there is no changelog. It's something that I've thought about. I know like lots of other companies do have one, and it's a nice idea. So yeah, I'll think more about the easiest way to get like a changelog up to detail latest changes. So yeah, that's something that it'd be good to have for sure. There's no public roadmap at the moment. The roadmap is essentially like with the monthly updates, I'll give the basics of what's just over the hill. I have mixed feelings about public roadmaps because especially in the early days, like when we're still very small, like no one is full-time on this project yet. So we're still not moving very fast, or anywhere near as fast as I would want to move. And with public roadmaps, I love them for larger companies because they can move very quickly. They can really detail, and it's a great way to connect with the community. I already like connect. Like I love sort of just chatting with you all in Slack and on these Hangouts and all this kind of stuff. So I have like yeah, I feel like we've got a really good way of like chatting with you and getting feedback and giving you updates on the platform and all this kind of stuff. But I don't want to necessarily publicize too much like far in advance. I've already noticed a few kind of copycat sites that have popped up, like doing essentially the same thing as Frontend Mentor. And some of them like very similar UI and this kind of thing and features and whatnot. And so I'm still a little bit wary about kind of publicizing things too far in advance, because then just everyone will, like, if they're like, oh, it's a good idea, they'll build the exact same thing. They might even do it quicker. So at the moment, it's more just talking to people, getting feedback, gauging in the community by the conversations and everything, like just gauging what to do next. Like Figma, for instance, that was a big one. That was an obvious one. Things like the challenge hubs, like creating these central locations for each challenge to ask questions, submit solutions, see solutions. These are all kind of obvious things. But I don't want to, yeah, I don't actually like public roadmaps for small companies, because it just exposes you way too much. Whereas for larger companies, I think they're a great way to connect with the community and the audience, and to show what's about to come. At some point, I may well do a public roadmap, and at that point, that will be kind of very, like, I'll be full-time on it, Mike will be full-time on it. Hopefully, like, if we do get to that point, we'll be able to move a lot faster, and then I'll be able to just put up a public roadmap, and it'll be great. But at the moment, I just like chatting with people on a more of a one-to-one basis, getting feedback in the Slack community and this kind of thing. So yeah, maybe that's my own sort of slight hang-ups about it. But yeah, it's just a personal preference. I don't like public roadmaps for small companies. I like them for large companies, but not for small. And yeah, Niall saying, love the Figma designs too. That's is what you cheap people would love. No, you're already a pro member, so you're definitely not cheap. So yeah, no, it's great. Figma is amazing. It's a tool that I really want to dive into, and it's something that I really want to learn more, because there's so much more. There seems to be a lot to it, so it's great. I'm really excited to get the Figma versions out there. So game moves to, any idea on how we can get a job as a junior dev? So this one, obviously getting the theory behind, like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, this kind of stuff, that's like kind of table stakes for getting your foot in the door as a junior dev. So that sort of kind of goes without saying, although I just said it. And like, so learning the languages, making sure you're kind of at least comfortable with them. You don't have to prove that you are, as a junior developer, you don't have to prove that you know everything and that you can do everything. When you're hiring a junior developer, you're hiring them for the potential and the attitude of the person. And so you're hiring much more on personality and passion and determination as well. And so you don't necessarily have to be the best HTML or CSS or JavaScript developer, because obviously you're applying for a junior role. So learn the basics, get the foundations, and then the next thing, and this is one of the reasons why I built Frontend Mentor, first version of it for my students at General Assembly, was you need a strong portfolio. You need a strong portfolio of projects, and not just projects that you've designed yourself. Because as developers, typically, like me, I'm speaking about me, especially here, I can't design to save my life. Like, if you give me a blank screen and tell me to design something that looks good, I would not know where to start. And that's the same, like a lot of front-end developers are in the same boat. And so instead of designing your own challenges or your own projects and then building them, like, use professional designs like on Frontend Mentor or on any other site, or try to copycat like a site like copy Airbnb or something and try and mimic their design and this kind of stuff, that's a really good thing to do. But just build out a strong portfolio, as strong portfolio as you can. Because once you've got those projects and they look professional, they look presentable, and you've talked about what technologies you've used in each project, what you learned while you were building these projects, and you've got kind of responsive websites and all this kind of thing, that will be an incredible kind of bonus to your kind of credibility as a junior developer. And like I said, it's one of the reasons why I created Frontend Mentor, because if your development portfolio is full of these projects that literally look like they could have come from a real life client and they look as professional as possible, like that's going to put you to the top of the pack as far as like getting an interview goes. And then during the interview, obviously you have to make that connection with them and then get the job. But building a professional looking portfolio is just incredible. And this is where Frontend Mentor challenges will help you out. So table stakes, kind of getting to know the languages. But like I said, you don't need to be kind of HTML, CSS, JavaScript guru. There, as a junior, you'll be getting hired based on your kind of willingness to learn, your attitude, your determination, whether you're a nice person to work with. Like that's always a key. And like these are the major things. So don't worry about kind of necessarily learning absolutely everything. Start applying for jobs before you feel ready to apply for them. Because as a junior developer, we hire for attitude. We don't hire for competency. Like the competency will come later, because a good company will train you up and will help you evolve as a developer. So to help you get your foot in the door, strongly recommend a good portfolio. This is obviously where Frontend Mentor projects come in, but you could also use like try and take dribble designs or something and recreate them, try and mimic a site like Airbnb or something. The easiest way though is definitely Frontend Mentor projects, and use them to build up your portfolio. So I hope that helps. And if you've got any more questions at all around that, game moves to let me know. Alex is saying, I want to become more proficient in designing the code that I write. Right now, I'm just jumping in, coding straight away, and I end up stumbling into problems later and rewriting some code. Yeah, so this is a key. Like with front end, for instance, I actually love annotating the designs, breaking them up into components, like actually thinking through the elements, the heading levels, all of this kind of stuff. Starting to think through things like class names, if you're using maybe like BEM or SMAX or something like this. But then also if you're maybe using styled components or something like this, thinking through how you're going to componentize the different areas on the page. And yeah, with front end, yeah, I just love annotating the design, thinking through all this stuff up front, and then having this planning phase and then jumping into the code. It always makes sense to do it this way, and you'll actually save more time in the long run if you do it this way, because as you've mentioned, Alex, you don't then have to jump in, stumble around, and then rewrite the code. You've got your roadmap for it, which is really important. So yeah, that's what I do. Is like if I get a design in, I will draw boxes around it, annotate it, think through the heading hierarchies and all this kind of stuff, make sure it all makes sense on paper, and then dive into the code. Now saying about Next.js, yeah, the image optimizations, like, it looks amazing. I'm yet to upgrade Frontend Mentor to 10 and put those image elements in, but that looks just incredible. I was literally not quite tears of joy when they were mentioning that, but I was very, very happy because Gatsby has it, and like Next, it was something that they needed to do. So I'm very, very happy that they did it. And the analytics, like I can't wait to move over to Vercel to get the analytics. That would be really cool. And then also, yeah, e-commerce. Like if you are building an e-commerce site, and yeah, maybe for Frontend Mentor Swag, that's a good idea. I like that idea for sure. Could build a headless e-commerce site now with Next, which is great. So Mahilo is asking, can you suggest some cool free APIs for React portfolio projects? Yeah, there's actually, so I'm awful at multitasking, so when I'm typing, I can't talk at the same time. I'm actually just going to put a GitHub repo of public APIs into the chat, Mahalo, because these are amazing public APIs that you can use, come up with your own app ideas, bolt on whatever, like if you're using React or Vue or vanilla JavaScript or anything like that, these public APIs will be a really good way of doing that. One other thing that you can do, which is something that we are going to look to do soon, is using, so if any of you have heard of Sanity, so sanity.io, they are an amazing headless CMS. And the headless CMS it essentially allows you to create an API and then bolt on whatever front end you want. And the API, the headless CMS, takes care of the content, and then you put your front end on top. One thing that I'm really looking to do soon with Frontend Mentor for a lot of the premium challenges will be to create a custom API. So if you're doing like a contact book or something like that, I will literally create the API for it with the seed data in Sanity, for instance, and then give you the documentation and everything. And then you will be able to kind of choose whatever front end you want and then build that front end out using the designs for that challenge. But what it will allow us to do is just create completely custom apps. So we're not limited to like a weather API or something like this. We haven't done a weather project yet, but we're not limited to just the public third-party APIs that exist. I'll be able to create like a e-commerce site or something like this, just based around purely fictional products and all this kind of stuff. But it means that like we'll be able to have a limitless kind of limitless boundaries on what apps we could have for the projects, and they'll have custom APIs. So when are you starting that project? So with Sanity, like with Sanity APIs, we're going to be hopefully like in the new year is like when the first one will probably come out, potentially in December. Like maybe in January. I'm actually talking with them at the moment, kind of having a bit of a back and forth with them just to sort of see what the best way of doing it might be. But yeah, like early in the new year will be. I don't want to be the usual sort of over optimistic. Yeah, it'll be a couple of weeks. Early in the new year is the most likely time. So yeah, that's a realistic time frame for that. And yeah, do we have a Discord channel? No, we don't have a Discord channel. We've only got the Slack channel, which you can sign up to from the website, through the website. I started with Slack. When I first launched the site, I started with Slack because Slack was like the big messaging thing at the time. Discord, it picked up so much momentum, and it's like, I love Discord, it's great. The only problem is that the one thing that's stopping me from moving to Discord or creating a Discord is the lack of threaded conversations. I think that's like, for a community with over 27,000 people in, the messages and everything just would get lost in the noise without this, like the ability to thread conversations. The channels would just, in my opinion, get too cluttered with messages, and it would just be hard to keep track of everything. So if you've got another opinion, if you've got any other kind of an argument as to why we should use use Discord instead of Slack, then do let me know, because I'm always open to ideas, and I'm not saying that we would never move to Discord. But at the moment, the lack of threaded conversations in Discord is the thing that's stopping me from doing that at the moment. All of the Discord channels that I'm in have, like, at the moment, I'm maximum 1,000 people in or so. So having 27,000 or so people in one Discord channel, I just think it would get very, very noisy. And also lots of developers use Discord, but also a lot of developers use Slack for work. So they're already just on it on a day-to-day basis anyway. So kind of makes sense. So yeah, and yeah, so other people agreeing about the threads. So yeah, I won't, like, threaded conversations have to be a thing in Discord before I'd even consider moving over to it, because yeah, it would just be, I think, 27,000 people all talking over each other. Although there's obviously not just 27,000 people always messaging, but I think it would just get a bit unmanageable. So yeah, awesome. I hope you all enjoyed that, and I hope you will kind of enjoy, like, everything that's about to come, everything that we've been doing. I can't wait to announce that we've got Figma and Sketch kind of for every single challenge on the platform, and that will be sometime next week that we announce that, which will be amazing. And yeah, if you've ever got any feedback or anything, like anything that you'd like to see on the platform that's not there, just any feedback at all, always feel free. Like, I'm kind of, my DMs are always open on Slack. Like, just message me, come and have a chat. Love to hear from you, hear how you're getting on with the platform, getting on with the challenges, and how I can help improve the platform so that it's better as a community for you, to help meet other people, improve yourself as a developer, and hopefully find jobs or get promotions or anything like that. So great to chat to you all again, and see you in a month's time. Hopefully the UK will be getting out of a lockdown at that point, although I've got a kind of sneaky suspicion that we won't be. But yeah, fingers crossed. So see you all later. Great to chat to you all. Stay safe, stay healthy, and see you soon. Bye.